Technical problem.
Starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's time to get started. Welcome everybody to StreamGeeks Live. I'm your host, Paul Richards. My co-host, Tess Protesta, is not here, but our producer is on
here.
stage.
Hi, I'm Mike Lettermoser. Thanks.
You may not see Mike that often because he's behind the switcher operating the show, but since Tess is in Mexico, he's going to help me out today. So we've got an exciting show for you today. So let me break down some of the things that we're going to go over. It's going to be a fun show because I've got new tech toys to show you and a whole process of things that we're going to be doing in the next couple months. So first of all, today we're talking about working with audio and getting unique audio inputs into your live streaming mix, why that's important, and the technology that allows us to do it quite easily. You may work with an audio engineer. You can see a picture from the Pretty Good Fest that we did last year. It's coming up in just 2 weeks. A lot of times there's an audio engineer, and he's got all these knobs, and he's creating a mix that is for the PA system, for the speakers at the concert. But that's not necessarily what we want to pipe out to YouTube and Facebook. In fact, bringing those unique audio inputs into our video production software gives us a whole lot more control. And it's really actually kind of was mind-boggling when I first found out about how to use ASIO Drivers. So we'll talk about that today. We're also going to follow up with a DigiMix18 ASHLY audio review today. This is a really cool mixer. I bought it for myself because I looked out there and I said I want something that's affordable, but I want to be able to bring in all of those unique audio inputs using a technology called ASIO. ASIO technology is something we're going to be used today.
Do you want your Pretty Good festival footage?
Let's show a little bit of footage from Pretty Good last year, and then I'm going to show you guys some reviews and tech stuff in a moment. So it's music festival season again, and we're going out to live stream this concert. We've done it. This will be the 4th year we've live streamed it. And this year we're going to do things quite differently. We are going to bring out our DigiMix18 from ASHLY Audio, and we are going to ask the audio mixer, the guy doing the front of house audio mix for the concert, if we can have unique channels for each source of audio so that we can mix our own EQ and use virtual studio technology, that's VST plugins in our live streaming software. We'll talk about that as well. So working with a team, there's a live stream team from last year. You got Tess, who came out for our first concert live stream. I think that was her first ever live stream out and about. Steve Barrera and Patrick Kirby, who are all part of our team. Mike, I think, is going to be there this year. Tess is going to be there. And we got some pictures from last year that we'll show. Now, last year we used the Intel NUC Skull Canyon. This thing was and sort of still is state-of-the-art. It's an i7 processor with a built-in Intel Iris graphics processor. It has 4 USB 3.0 ports, and it also has a lightning bolt port, which we were using with our 4-port SDI box that is from PTZ Optics. So it's the PTZ Optics producer kit. It did great job this year, but in Intel NUC news, we actually have been working with Magewell on an M.2 card to integrate into the Skull Canyon Hades model. Wanted to show you just really quickly what that looks like in case you missed our videos on this. Now, if you did see our videos on YouTube, you know that we cracked open the lid of the Intel NUC Hades Canyon. Why don't we play that video? And you'll see, it should be in there. The video, here we are. And this is the Hades Canyon. So it's the big brother to the Intel NUC Skull Canyon. This has the 8th generation i7 processor, and whoop, this computer, it cooks. It has a built-in Radeon RX Vega M graphics from AMD. And when you pop the hood, you find that there's actually 2 M.2 SSD slots that you can be used with a SDI capture card. Now, this just blew my mind. If you're a live streaming tech out there, my audio cut out, someone's saying?
I can hear you.
Good. So
and your levels are going.
Are you seeing levels? Okay, cool. You can see here, look at the size of this 4-port SDI box. It just blows my mind. You can see here that it actually fits inside the Hades Canyon. Now, this is something that's super beta. It's not going to be ready for pretty good this year, but I just wanted to show it to you guys, for you techie guys out there who want to geek out a little bit and see just how fun and easy this is going to be to build a 4-port SDI streaming computer that can easily handle. We've tested almost up to 10 cameras with this. Hi, Sean, John, Curtis, Kyle, thank you guys all for watching, watching the chat, and love to know what you guys think about this SDI input. Now, I've been talking with OneWrite about building a custom lid. So this lid, the current lid does not work with this setup. You'd also have to most likely remove the cool glowing Skull Canyon, but OneWrite is a Intel NUC top maker, and they're going to work with us on making a custom lid for everybody. So that'll be fun. So moving forward, Magewell makes that M.2 card. Great company. We've always loved what they do. You may have noticed that PTZ Optics has released a new MIDI camera control app, and I'm super excited about this. We've got a lot of new apps. If you guys haven't been watching, catch up on the PTZ Optics YouTube channel. Ableton Live, okay? They have millions of customers out there, and DJs, musicians, artists use this software when they go out and do live productions. Churches use it. In fact, we have a really great case study with churches coming out. But check it out because it's super cool. Now, Ableton and many other digital audio workstations, including Pro Tools, Logic, some of the ones that you've heard out there, can now be integrated with PTZ Optics cameras. Now, I wanted to talk about the Twitch camera control app. We got it working. In fact, Kyle, thank you so much for testing that with us in the pre-show. During this show, when Mike's camera is on, you can go to twitch.com/sgeeks and actually take control of it. So if you want to be out there and mess with Mike as you're zooming into his nose, I'm just kidding. But it's out there. It's working. You can put that on your channel. And we're working with some rock bands, actually, to put PTZ Optics cameras behind the stage and give the audience interactivity and engagement, being able to control it from their home. So it's a pretty cool new app. I think, does that wrap it up, Mike?
That's it.
All right, let's get into our feature presentation. All this and more will be coming up next. All right, here we are. So I can already see, Mike, that someone has used the Twitch cam and got you a little out of alignment. I'm gonna fix you real quick. Go. Let's see. I'll just go up a little bit and to the right. There we go. Is that better?
Perfect.
All right. So now, today we're talking about tips for mixing audio for live streams and musical performances. I'm happy to say that I am talking from experience. I've streamed this 4 years worth of the Pretty Good Fest, and I'm ready for the 5th year here. And you can see one of my live streaming buddies there, Tom Worthington, hovering over his audio board to create the perfect mix. Now, today we're going to look at the DigiMix18 and why I chose that as what I think one of the perfect, most affordable streaming options for audio mixing boards. But you can see here, that was our setup. Usually the live streaming guys are right next to the audio people. And there's so much going on that it makes sense to have one person dedicated to audio, mixing for the band, listening to the band members, managing the monitors and everything that's there, and having the video separate. Now, as of every year in the past, we have gotten a single stereo feed or dual stereo feed into our Focusrite audio USB audio interface, not an audio mixer, and just brought the USB in and streamed that out. And it's been great. But we want to take it up to the next level and at least show you guys what the ideal scenario would be for mixing a rock concert for a live stream. Now, when we're packing up for the event, this just kind of shows you some of the things that go into preparation. You can see we've got our 4-port SDI box there. We've got our joystick controller, or vMix mouse pad, an extra frame grabber. That was for our live drone. We had 4 PTZ Optics cameras and then just bags of cables and other stuff that we brought, tripods. The PTZ Optics cameras that we used, and you guys saw in the video earlier, we connected via SDI and serial. Now this year we are doing SDI for video and IP for power and camera control. So we will have everything over the network, allowing us to use our smartphones and devices for camera control. So I'm excited for that. It's definitely a huge upgrade. That in itself is great. This is just a little shot of last year. I just wanted to show you guys. So we did have a camera, funny story. We put a camera mount on my buddy's stage in the back, and it's still there. So we're not going to install it again. That got us that cool drummer shot. So that's the drummer shot there. Everybody loved this drummer shot. You can see it's just one of our video inputs. Then we had 2 video inputs for switching back and forth. So we'd get like a wide shot and a zoomed up shot. And then we had our behind the scenes shot, which was either shooting down on the drummer or shooting up. If it was like, I don't know if you saw in the beginning, there was like a 2-person acoustic shot. So we just kind of showed them and then the crowd in the background. It was really, really cool live streaming setup. There's Tess at her first ever live video production. And here's just a couple more pictures of the set from the front to the back. You can see there. Just put up a little tent. It gets hot in the summertime, but it was a really fun setup. And we can skip this one. I guess we already showed that. Just do an extra one there. So today we're going to talk about the opportunity to use real-time audio optimization in a way that could never be done with a regular audio mixer. And nobody can beat the algorithms and the computers that can actually have a vocal rider. And we're going to look at some of those technologies and talk about why ASIO technology is so important. So ASIO stands for, and this is going to be in Trivia later today, Audio Stream Input Output. And it's a computer sound card protocol for digital audio. It's actually specified by Steinberg, the same people who actually created VST, Virtual Studio Technology. And we're going to talk about why all of this is changing the game for live streaming and audio specifically. So right now, just to give you an idea of what we have set up, right now we have what's called a traditional audio interface. This USB audio interface takes the XLR 1/4-inch inputs and brings them into a USB feed that we're bringing up in vMix, our video production software. Now, normally, for the longest time, and almost every stream I've ever done, I've just taken the audio and streamed it. But what we've started to do, and we're doing now, and we're doing in the future, is taking each individual input and adding the effects that we think are right. So especially for like guitar or an instrument where you could put an amplifier effect on it or a guitar effect, vocals, you can put a vocal rider, you can add compression, you can add custom EQ specific to the audio input source. So that's a huge role there. We always bring a remote control, an X keys controller to make our lives easier, and then an iOS app for control. We've also, right now, I'm using the Windows NDI Telestrator. Generally, we've got an extra computer, and we've got two 4-port PCIe cards going into our custom PC. Now, when we go out on the road, we don't lug this big bad boy. We just bring the small little Intel NUCs so we don't have to break our backs because they're super fast and powerful and they do the job. Now, in the audio setup, this just gives you a quick little look at this. This is pretty close to what a lot of people do. 2 microphones. Let's change the color there. 2 mics, a guitar, a bass, and sometimes, maybe even feeding out to a PA system or a laptop. But this gives you an idea. Sometimes there's even MIDI inputs, just some of the things that can come into a audio mixer. And I'm really excited to dig into this DigiMix. Now here in our studio, we don't necessarily need this giant DigiMix. So we're actually using an 18i8 from Focusrite, and we've got 2 wireless receivers for Test and I's audio. There is 2 additional, I think there's like actually 6 more additional inputs, but we're just using those for Mike's audio as well. Now, let's talk about ASIO really quickly before we do one last thing before we jump into the DigiMix, which I'm really excited to show you guys. When you're using ASIO drivers in Windows, it does need to be your default sound recording and playback device, or at least recording if that's what you're going to be using it for. So if it's not set as your default device, the ASIO will not work. And that was one of the biggest hurdles that I had trying to use ASIO. It just never connected. And that's because it wasn't set as a default Windows recording device. I think Macs are easier to use on that front, but that was an issue that stumbled me from using ASIO for over 2 years. So VST3 plugins. Now we're using quite a few of these today, and I want to switch to the DigiMix before we jump into that. And I want to show you the DigiMix real quick because this baby is beautiful. Now it's only $8.99, which I really love the price point for something like this. And I just want to show you guys a little bit about this device. So this right here is what's called a motorized fader. And the cool thing about that is that usually when you have a giant mixer like this, you get a ton of little faders, and it takes up a ton of space and it jacks up the price. Makes it really expensive. So what ASHLY has done here, and I love the way they've done this, is as you change, hopefully you guys can see that, as you change your channel, it remembers exactly where the fader was. So it's motorized, which I love. And therefore, as you go and switch your faders, it automatically moves with it. So it saves a lot of time. It saves on cost. Now, I'm a big fan of hardware audio mixers. Trying to do everything in software is unintuitive, and it kind of, it can leave a lot to be desired, especially if you're just learning. I feel like having a real piece of hardware, having it all laid out in front of you, not hidden and nested in Windows, you could do it all in the software. We're going to show you reasons why you're going to do things in the software, but this ASHLY audio is really great, and I'm just a huge fan. So we don't have time to go into everything here, but one of the great things about the ASHLY audio system is it does have a 7-inch touchscreen here, and it does have an iPad app. Let's show the back of the unit, Mike, and I want to show you guys the ins and the outs because that's specifically what we're going to talk about. Again, the price on this baby is just amazing at $8.99. So here's the ins and outs here, as you guys can see. And so we've got 16 channels in and out. And so that's where all of our 16 knobs here. So if we want to add gain, we've got gain knobs on the top and bottom. We can view everything. It has one USB 2 input. Now that USB 2 input is the mix. So that is one single mix. Now, I have ordered a USB 3 card. That was an extra $150, $200, and that gives us all 18 channels. So in order to do the ASIO that we're talking about, you do need to buy a USB 3 card. You do also have the option, and this is one of the reasons why I chose this device, for DANTE. DANTE is an audio over IP solution. That is another card. And then I think ASHLY Audio is very smart by saying, what card are they going to build next? This audio mixer is future-proof in a way. If a new standard comes out, like hint, hint, AES 70 or AES 67, and John Thompson saying, the equipment engineer in me worries about the long-term reliability of the motorized faders. Well, I hope it's a high-quality one because it really is dependent on that. You're right. It moves really nicely, I will say. But the last thing is it does have Ethernet here. So the Ethernet connects to your Wi-Fi. So if you're going mobile with this and you want to use the iPad, then you're going to need to bring your own wireless router. I always have a wireless router anyway for camera control. So when we do Pretty Good Fest in just 2 or 3 weeks, it's 2 weeks from now, we'll do a whole review on how that's all set up. Okay, so that shows you how the DigiMix is going to be working with our setup. Let me finish our presentation and show you why I bought this and why I think it's going to be so important for using ASIO technology. So VST3 plugins, we're using quite a few of them right now with our audio. We use a company called Waves, waves.com. They've got tons of great VST3 plugins, and they make your audio sound like a radio podcast amazingness. And even, it's just amazing stuff. All the professionals are using it, whether they're using Pro Tools and all the way into vMix live streaming, what we're doing. So the vocal rider is one of my favorites. And what this does, and I wish I had a video to show you guys, this is just a picture here, but you could imagine that it actually uses an algorithm. So you set a range. You say, all right, this is my top range. This is my bottom range. I want the audio to always be here. And maybe that's 80%. I never want it to go over 80% or clip. What it will do is this fader will go up and down to make the audio literally faster than any human could do it match. So it saves time by automating the vocal writing part of mixing. It also has an automatic writing to automation to track for fine tuning. And there's no latency, they say. I've noticed when you stack like 5 or 6 VST3 plugins, I have noticed 100 milliseconds of latency. In fact, I don't even know if we're compensating for that right now. But if you guys, nobody mentioned anything in the chat, so I'm not sure if anyone noticed. Because we have to remember to do that. I think it might have already been saved in there. I've noticed when you stack 5 or 6 VST3 plugins, it adds a little bit of latency. They're saying none. The price on this is $40. It's incredible. You can put this on your computer and have it on multiple devices. So if I start talking really slowly, it'll boost me up. If I start talking really loud, it'll bring me down. You can't beat it. It's so cool.
This was probably the best one that we got.
You think so?
I think out of all of them, yeah, because of just like helping Tess out, just like raising her and like keeping you down and stuff. So you're screaming all the time.
I'm always screaming. She's always talking to 2 sides, so it really helped us out.
Yeah.
This next one here is just an EQ and compression. Now the DigiMix, if we can switch to DigiMix real quick, this is a feature I want to show. If we go to one of our channels, like let's say we're on channel 1, we can actually go in here and put an EQ into the DigiMix. Now an EQ would probably look something like this for like a vocal, but we can actually put pre-EQ into, oh, you can barely see it.
Want me to zoom in?
There, they can see it. You can put EQs and things into it. Don't worry about it. You could, but the glare I think is going to mess with it. You can do EQing in the mixers before it gets to it, but these EQs come with a compressor and everything. So it's just nice to do it in the software. Then next we have, this is our rock and roll plugin for guitar inputs. It was $50, but I needed it for our Iron Man rendition you guys might have saw a couple weeks ago. And it's kind of easy. It's not that hard. So if it looks complicated, think about using some of the presets that are included at the top of the plugins, and you can actually see, oh, there's a plugin for female vocals. There's a plugin for a voiceover a preset. This one is incredible. I think it was made for guitars, but it sounds amazing for vocals. And it came with our vocal plugin set that we bought, this pack we bought from Waves, and it just makes the audio sound so much better. The audio sync is close enough not to be noticed until I mentioned it, says John. So doesn't the digital mixer not have effects built into it? Our DigiMix does have effects built into it. There's just some simple stuff like compressor and gain, but I was looking in the manual, and I don't want to take too much of the time on flipping through the manual, but we do have reverb, delay, tremolo, flanger, chorus, stuff like that. I haven't actually taken it out on a concert show yet, so I'm going to have to add at least an hour of time setting this baby up. But for the price, I just can't believe what it does. If you want to learn more, we actually did post a video on everything we're doing with our VST3 plugins. And Mike's saying he would not use the vMix machine to do any effects, especially since the effects are built into the mixer. And I agree, because if you stack too many VST3 plugins into your vMix machine, it's going to add additional processing, and it's going to add potentially a little bit of latency, even though they say it doesn't add any. Now, some of these things you can't do in the mixer if you can. See, now we're talking about potentially having a mixer, another mixer, and then an audio mixer. So I agree. We want to let the mixer do all the hardware mixing that we can, EQ, compression, all that stuff in the hardware mixer. And then if you want to throw on a vocal rider to make your life easier, that's basically what I would say to do. Now, if you are on a budget and you don't have an amazing DigiMix like this, then using these plugins is your only way to get some of these compressions and things like that into, let's say, vMix. But that's what it's there for. So use the technology. We're going to wrap it up there. I don't want this to go too long. We'll see you guys in the Twitch channel. So we're going to switch to Twitch. Don't forget to join our Facebook user group on facebook.com/StreamGeeks. And I'll see you guys in just a moment. We got trivia and we got a giveaway. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys soon. That means extra.